Those who have a defined benefit pension plan do not feel as rich as those that have a defined contribution pension plan. And I want to get into why this is. So let's have a look. Okay, first of all, what is a defined benefit pension plan? These are not offered too much anymore by private companies. It's largely the government that offers these to governmental employees these days. Teachers receive a defined benefit pension plan. Government workers, whether it's municipal, federal, or provincial, they receive a defined benefit pension plan. There's some older companies that still offer defined benefit pension plans, but largely they're no more in the private sector. What is a defined benefit pension plan? A defined benefit pension plan is some money comes off your paycheck, the company probably contributes, this money goes into a pot along with money from all other employees, and the promise to you is that when you retire, they will pay you a pension stream. This pension stream is regardless of what the rate of return on the money is. So if the money grows at 5% or 7% or 3%, you still get the same pension stream. So let's say your pension is $50,000 a year. You know, you've worked for this company for 40 years. You're fairly close to retirement. You determine that your first year of pension will be $50,000. And you know what? Let's say that in the pension legal document, your pension plan has an inflation kicker. So the stream goes up with inflation every year. So 50,000 in year one, maybe 51,000 in year two, depending on the rate of inflation. That is what, in this example, I'm giving an example of a defined benefit pension plan. You get that 50,000 regardless of the return of the pot of money where all these contributions are going into. Their promise to you is that they will pay you the pension stream for the rest of your life and might have the option of including your spouse's life in there. That's the promise. We will pay you this amount of money for the rest of you and your spouse's life. That is the promise, regardless of whether the investments return 10% or 2%. Now, if the investments underperform what was anticipated, they might come to you at some point and say, look, we've made an error. We assumed a 5% rate of return. We only received a 3% rate of return. Therefore, we can't pay you 100 cents on the dollar. We'll pay you 80 cents on the dollar. You know, in this case, in our example, you wouldn't get 50,000 anymore. You would get 40,000. This happens sometimes, but these things are highly regulated. And the regulators go in and they say, look, you've got this bucket of promises. To fulfill this bucket of promises, you better have this much money in your pension account. And the company or the pension administrator has to prove that they have that much money in the pension account. If there's a shortfall, the company's on the hook for that. Now, what happens often is that the company won't have the current value of all promises in the account and the company goes bankrupt. There's nobody left to add to that pot of money now. That's when administrators come to the pension participants and say, look, we can't pay you 100 cents on the dollar. We'll pay you 90 cents on the dollar or 80 cents, whatever the case may be. It is rare that you get nothing because this money is segregated. The company does not have the right to go into that pot of money and extract money to buy computer equipment, for example. They cannot do that. Okay, so that's a defined benefit pension plan. What's a defined contribution pension plan or a group RSP? Group RSPs and defined contribution pension plans are relatively similar. Okay, you contribute, the company contributes. This money goes into your account, an account with your name on it. You are responsible for the investment returns. So you contribute, let's say you contribute over 30 or 40 years. You retire, at the end, you have a pot of money. Now this pot of money has to finance the rest of your life. You are responsible for the investment returns. If the investment return is 2% for the course of your contributing and extracting, well, you're not going to live as well as somebody who received 5%. So that's the difference between a defined benefit pension plan and a defined contribution pension plan. There are other differences as well, but that's the one I want to focus on. Okay, so remember, the statement is that those with defined contribution pension plans or group RSPs feel richer than those with a defined benefit pension. Now, why is this? Let me remove my face here. Okay, so here, let's look at this. Valuing a defined benefit pension plan. It is easy to value a defined contribution pension plan because you see the value in your account. With a defined benefit pension, you don't really see it because you don't care about it. All you care about is the pension plan going to be able to fulfill the promises they made to. So here, I want to go through this. Here's our example. We have a pension plan. We know that in the first year of retirement, we're going to get $50,000. We assume inflation will be 2.5%. So our pension plan has an inflation component to it. Not all pension plans have that. The rate of return or discount rate is 4%. I'm going to explain that. And here's our pension stream. We estimate that in the first year of retirement, which is, we'll say it's next year, is $50,000. Our pension plan has an inflation component to it, so it goes up with the rate of inflation. We are assuming that inflation will be 2.5% for the next 30 years. That means the payment in year 2 is $51,250. So that's 50 plus 2.5% of 50. So it increases. Now I want to show you what I did here. I just hid these rows because the spreadsheet becomes a little too long. But this is just the pension stream per year of retirement. In year 1, we get $50,000. In year 2, we get $51,250. In year 3, $52,531. By the time we get to year 30, we get $102,320. All that is $50,000 growing at 2.5% per year, the rate of inflation, for 30 years. Okay, so now we get into this column, the present value. What is the present value? And this is, we're getting into the valuing of this pension stream, this 30 years of $50,000 plus inflation. Okay, so this is where this comes in. This is the rate of return or the discount rate. If I'm going to get $50,000 next year, what is it worth to me right now? Well, at a 4% discount rate, it's worth $48,077. That means if I had $48,077 and I invested it at 4%, it would grow to $50,000 in 1 year. Let's look at year 5. If I have $45,363 right now, growing at 4% per year, it will be worth $55,191 in year 5. So all that is the discount value of the future pension stream. So look, $100,000 discounted to the present at a discount rate of 4% is $31,547. In other words, if I have $31,547 right now and it grows at 4% a year for the next 30 years, it will grow to $102,320. So this is the value. That's the value of that defined benefit pension plan. So this is the value of $50,000 a year growing with inflation, and we assume inflation is 2.5%, and we assume a discount rate of 4%. Okay, so look at this. If these assumptions hold true, how does this compare to somebody with a defined contribution plan? Well, let's say a person with a defined contribution plan says, look, I want the exact same payment stream for my 30 years. Let's say they're the same age and they're both retiring next year. I want $50,000 next year. The year after that, I want $51,250, $52,531. It's a little bit different for this guy because what is happening is he wants this money. He's got this balance, let's say. I'm going to talk about that in a second. He takes out this much. The balance grows at 4%. At the end of the year, he has an account worth 1.1 million. Okay, so for this person, the person with the defined contribution pension plan, to be in the exact same situation as the person with the defined benefit pension plan, he better have 1.177 million in his account. That's why I say that those with a defined contribution pension plan tend to feel richer than those with a defined benefit pension plan. This person's walking around saying, hey, I'm a millionaire. This person's walking around probably saying, I earn 70,000 right now, and in retirement I'm going to take a pay cut down to 50. This person doesn't feel as rich as this person. They both have the same degree of richness. So that's kind of interesting. Now, there is one difference that I should point out. Let's say husband and wife pass away at year 8 of retirement. Well, this pension stream, the defined benefit pension stream, it dries up. The payments stop. Whereas the defined contribution or the group RSP pension stream, well, this would go, first it would go to the taxman. The taxman would take their cut, and then the rest would go to the next of kin. I'm not going to explain this. You know what? Maybe I will explain this. Okay, so this is balance. We withdraw 50, then it grows. So this is like we take all 50,000 out in January, and this is balance, growth, then we withdraw 50. This is like we take all 50,000 out at the end of the year. So the reality is somewhere in the middle because we're taking payments out on a monthly basis. Okay. So that is the value. That is the value of a defined benefit pension stream given these assumptions and given that you live to year 30. Now, I will say this. I want to show you something. We all, if you work in Canada, if you've ever worked in Canada, we are all defined benefit pension plan holders because the CPP is a defined benefit pension plan. So let's say I'm going to retire at 60. I estimate my pension stream to be $10,000 a year. It is linked to inflation, so it goes up with inflation. And let's say I estimate that my discount rate is 4%. What is that pension stream worth to me when I retire? It's worth $235,000, given these assumptions. I'll show you. Let's say you're 45 years old. So we discount. Let's say you're 45 years old. You plan to retire at 60, and you think your first payment is going to be $10,000 per year, and it's going to grow with inflation after that. What is that worth to you right now at the age of 45? It's worth $130,000. So hey, that's good news. So all we're doing to get this number is we're taking this and we're discounting it back 15 more years. Okay, I want to show you this, the discount rate of return. Let's say I don't have a defined benefit pension plan. I have a defined contribution pension plan, but I think, I have more risk tolerance than somebody who has a 4% rate of return discount rate. I estimate mine to be 7%. You know what? Let's go with the 50. I'm going to go to the 50,000. Okay, so at 4%, it's got a current value of 1.177 million. At a 7% rate of return, it has got a lower value. I need less at the start to finance this payment stream because my money is growing faster. It's growing at 7% instead of 4%. So this gets to be somewhat interesting because most defined benefit pension plans will offer you the option to take a lump sum at the start of retirement or the pension stream. And this is a rudimentary way to value an estimate of what that pension stream is worth. So let's say you retire. Let's say you assume you have a discount rate of 4%. Your company comes to you and says, hey, do you want a lump sum or do you want this pension stream? And you say, well, okay, what's the lump sum? given these assumptions, if the lump sum is higher than this, you might want to consider taking the lump sum. If the lump sum is lower than this, that pushes you towards taking the payment stream instead of the lump sum. And a lot of that depends on what your personal future rate of return will be. If they come to me and they offer me this deal and I say, well, you know what, my future rate of return is going to be 7%, and they're offering me $1 million, I would likely take the lump sum. That's how you value a defined benefit pension plan. Now, again, the whole premise here is that those in a defined benefit pension plan should feel richer than they likely feel, and those in a defined contribution pension plan likely feel richer than they should feel. Anyway, thank you for watching.